Welcome back to Unraveling the Pattern. I'm Lauren. It's been a long time since we've had any official Wheel of Time news, but thankfully JordanCon, the biggest Wheel of Time fan convention, is going on right now in Atlanta. As much as I wish I could have been there this year, I'm glad I'm home, so I can make a video about what Amazon released during the convention. Amazon Prime released a long, detailed video that's over 26 minutes, with some really cool stuff in it. Let's talk about it. But real quick, spoiler warning. This video will discuss spoilers related to the Wheel of Time Seasons 1 and 2, as well as book spoilers for the first 4 Wheel of Time books: The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, The Dragon Reborn, and some of The Shadow Rising. I won't spoil any major plot or story elements beyond those books, and I'll try to be careful, but if you haven't read the books and want to avoid spoilers, this video might not be for you. Let's jump right in. There isn't a specific teaser to show, but we got a really good look at Aiel Smart as Avienda, and we also got confirmation that Maja Simonson, I hope I'm saying that right, is playing Chiad, and Raga Ragnars is playing Bane. Again, I hope I'm saying these names right. They even introduced themselves by using maiden hand talk, which is super exciting. On top of that, it was revealed that Jay Duffy, who many of us speculated was Gawain Trakand, is actually going to be playing Dane Bornhold, a White Cloak who's the son of this character from Season 1, Jeffrem Bornhold. Dane's character is very important to Perrin's storyline, especially from what's likely going to be a major part of Season 3, which we know will focus mostly on Book 4, The Shadow Rising. I'm now thinking this character here from a previous teaser is probably Dane Bornhold, fighting Avienda, which means it's very likely that this person who I originally thought was Jay Duffy playing Gawain is probably not Jay Duffy, because I cannot fathom a scenario where Dane Bornhold would be in the White Tower, and I'm still convinced that this is Matt. So this still could be the actor who plays Gawain or Galad, or it could be Taylor Napier who plays Maxim, one of Alana's warders, and is seen in this other shot with Nynaeve in the same location. Anyway, we also got official confirmation that Rima Tewiata is playing Sheriam. I made a video about this before because this information was already discovered by fans, but it's nice to know we have an official casting confirmation now for her. And they accidentally spelled her last name wrong in the video, but it's all good. It's clear they threw this video together for us very quickly. I'm not going to get into all the details about everything in the video or the Q&A from Rafe. It's really good and you should watch it. But one thing that stood out to me from the Q&A is that Rafe seemed to confirm pretty clearly that Elida will be in the show, which I'm very excited about. Anyway, the details I want to discuss for this video are mostly related to the Aiel costumes and especially the mysterious background behind Rafe, Sarah, and Avienda, Bane, and Chiad during their interview scenes. There was a lot of discussion on Discord and online about what this location could be. Rafe said this set features heavily in Season 2 and also a bit in Season 3. He also mentioned something about blood and water and costume changes taking place in this set. The sort of ancient-looking columns and cave-like background or structure, as well as the sort of dusty or even dirt-covered floor, made me immediately think this must be a version of Columns in Ruidian, the ancient Aiel city that features heavily in Book 4. However, after looking through some other shots and more thoroughly investigating, I and some others on Discord realized pretty quickly that this is probably not a location in Ruidian. Some people thought that maybe these columns in the background behind Rafe could be columns from the Stone of Tyr, which appears at the end of Book 3, but I'm one of those people who strongly believes that the Stone of Tyr and all that is associated with it will not be featured until later in the show, probably after Ruidian and the Aiel Waste stuff that takes place in Book 4. In other words, I think the Stone of Tyr and its very red columns of stone will likely not make an appearance until after Season 3. So what details can we see in the background? First of all, there was some speculation that this might have been shot on a green screen and that these people weren't really there, but I'm pretty convinced that this is an actual set. The camera's moving, there's really clear visuals of hairs and details behind some of these people in the interviews, and I think the 3 Aiel women are just really well lit for an interview. You can even see a sort of box light that's shown in a reflection in Rafe's glasses. So I'm pretty sure that this is an on-set location with no green screen. But let's talk about the details of the background. First, these aren't columns. They're parts of 2 different archways that we can see by piecing together different shots. This archway is very obvious in the wide shot of the 3 Aiel maidens. But these 2 columns behind Rafe are actually very likely part of another single archway. Notice how the designs and details on the arches are different for each one. Also, there's a statue of some sort of what looks like a woman wearing a shawl on a pedestal here. I'm now convinced that this room or cave or whatever it is in the lower parts of the White Tower, and that it's very likely the accepted testing room. In the books, these archways are described very differently from how they're portrayed here. For one thing, they're shiny, metallic, or silver, and they're all interconnected as a single sort of archway object. In the White Tower, to take the test to become accepted, which is one step above a novice and one step below a full Aes Sedai, a novice who is ready enters a chamber deep below the White Tower. She removes her clothing, and then she walks through 3 different archways, one at a time. As she passes through the archways, she experiences a dreamlike reality where she faces her fears in the past, in the present, and in a future scenario, for what was, what is, and for what is yet to come. If she is steadfast and returns from each of these fear-filled experiences, she is washed clean of whatever actions she did while she was inside of the arches, in a sort of baptism-like cleansing, and then she becomes an accepted. Some wounds sustained from within the arches stay with the woman when she comes out. My guess is that we'll be seeing one or more of the accepted tests that Nynaeve, Egwene, and possibly Elaine go through in Season 2 and possibly in Season 3. As a reminder, Nynaeve has her test in Book 2, The Great Hunt, and Egwene has her test in Book 3, The Dragon Reborn. Rafe did mention that there is blood, water, and changing of clothes that take place in this location. The blood can easily be explained, as I mentioned, as coming from wounds sustained within the arches. The water could be the baptism-like cleansing, and the change of clothing could relate to the ceremonial changing from novice to accepted, where they receive an Aes Sedai ring and a new dress. Even though these arches don't exactly match the look as they're described in the books, I do like the idea that this is a chamber or cave-like dungeon deep below the White Tower that was hewn out of the rocks and foundations where novices are tested to become accepted. I like the idea that each of the arches looks different because they represent different things. In this archway on the left, the symbol behind it almost looks like a sort of center circle with divergent paths coming out of it. This possibly could be the arch for what is yet to be. There's probably another arch over here to the right that we can't see. In the arch in what appears to be the center of the chamber, there's a circular symbol with 7 outer circles and 1 center circle. This definitely could represent the Wheel of Time and the 7 Ages, or it could represent the Tower and the 7 Ajas. Much of this iconography matches the look of the Hall of the Tower. I also love the theory that there will likely only be 8 Forsaken in the show instead of the 13 from the books. There are 8 statues of Forsaken in Season 1, and I like the idea that 7 of the Forsaken are sort of akin to the 7 deadly sins, and then you have Ishamael as the center Forsaken, who's sort of the center of all evil, like the Dark One himself. I also like the idea that maybe there are 8 seals instead of 7, and that the center object here might represent the seal at the Eye of the World from Season 1 that Rand somehow cracked, freeing Ishamael in the process. Perhaps Ishi will spend much of Season 2 finding and releasing others of the Forsaken from other seals spread across the world. I think this scene from a past teaser might be Lanfear or one of the other Forsaken being freed by Ishamael. Finally, real quick, I just want to point out how awesome the Aiel maiden costumes look. They have that feeling of desert-dwelling Cadansor from the books, while also having some touches of leather, like we saw with Shail in Season 1. I like how they wear their shufas or black veils, and the Algode-looking shawls and hoods, while also giving each of them a unique look that stands out. Also, just look at the size of those spears. They look massive, just like I imagined them from the books. Cannot wait to see these in action. Anyway, what do you think about the reveal? What was your favorite part of the video? What do you think of my White Tower accepted test theory? Please remember to like this and all of my videos, to subscribe to Unraveling the Pattern, and if you like what I do here, please consider supporting me here on YouTube or on Patreon like these awesome people. Until next time, let the dragon ride again on the winds of Prime.